The reunion that changed everything. I didn't want to go to the reunion. Honestly, who does? Sitting around with people you barely remember just to relive high school glory days, or in my case awkward ones, sounds like a punishment. But Elowen insisted. She said it'd be good for me, whatever that meant. So here I was, standing in the lobby of this fancy Oak Creek resort in Sedona, Arizona, surrounded by red rocks and old classmates wearing name tags. Then I saw her. Seraphina. My first love. The girl who once made me believe in soulmates before life got in the way. She walked into the room like she owned it, her dark hair falling over one shoulder, wearing a dress that hugged her curves just right. For a moment, I thought I'd been transported back to senior year. But there was something different about her now. Her smile was softer, sadder, like she carried a weight no one else could see. I couldn't help myself. I approached her, heart pounding like a teenager's again. Seraphina. I asked, my voice cracking slightly. She turned, and when she recognized me, her eyes lit up. Kieran. Oh my God, it's really you. We hugged briefly, and I swear time stopped. We sat down at a table near the bar, reminiscing about old times. Prom night. Our failed attempt at sneaking out to the lake. The way we used to sit under the bleachers during football games talking about our dreams. It felt so easy, like slipping into an old pair of jeans. But then she dropped the bombshell. It hasn't been easy, she admitted, swirling her wine glass. Callan. He's not what I expected when we got married. He controls everything, where I go, who I talk to. Sometimes I feel like I'm suffocating. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I wanted to say something comforting, but all I could think about was how much I still cared for her. How every molecule in my body seemed to spark whenever she looked at me. That night, as I drove home with Elowen asleep beside me, I couldn't shake the feeling that my life had just taken a sharp turn, and maybe not in a good way. Lines start to blur. The next morning, I woke up replaying the conversation with Seraphina in my head. Had she always been this magnetic? Or was it nostalgia clouding my judgment? Either way, I couldn't stop thinking about her. By lunchtime, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. Hey, it was so nice catching up last night. Let's do it again sometime. My fingers hovered over the screen. What was I doing? This wasn't me. I was a married man, a father. I had responsibilities. But damn it, I missed her. Missed us. So I replied. And then another message came. Then another. Before I knew it, we were texting daily. At first it was harmless, just updates about work or funny memes. But soon the messages became more personal. More intimate. One evening, Elowen caught me staring at my phone mid-conversation. Everything okay? She asked, her brow furrowing. Yeah, fine. I lied, quickly locking the screen. She studied me for a moment longer than necessary before turning away. You've been distant lately. Her words stung because they were true. I hated lying to her, but I couldn't bring myself to stop. Each message from Seraphina felt like a lifeline pulling me toward something, or someone, I thought I'd lost forever. Then came the invitation. Why don't you come over tomorrow? Just to talk. I hesitated. This was dangerous territory. But curiosity and longing got the better of me. I'll be there. I typed back, already regretting it. Crossing the line. Her house was beautiful. A sleek modern design perched on the edge of a canyon, overlooking Sedona's iconic red rocks. But inside it felt cold. Empty. Like a museum rather than a home. Finian, her son, sat quietly in the corner playing with Legos. He barely acknowledged me when I arrived. Callan works late most nights, Seraphina explained as she poured us each a glass of wine. He doesn't like visitors. As we talked, she opened up about her marriage, about how Callan monitored her every move, accused her of flirting with strangers, even checked her phone regularly. Tears welled up in her eyes, and I instinctively reached out to comfort her. I can't keep living like this, she whispered. Something snapped in me. Maybe it was seeing her cry. Maybe it was the memories flooding back. Whatever it was, I pulled her into my arms and kissed her. It was electric. Wrong. Perfect. When we finally broke apart, guilt washed over me like a tidal wave. We shouldn't have done that, I muttered, running a hand through my hair. But Seraphina shook her head. Don't apologize. Not tonight. Driving home later, I felt like a stranger in my own skin. I crossed a line I swore I never would. Yet, as wrong as it was, I couldn't deny the pull I felt toward her. The web of lies. Lying became easier or maybe just more frequent. Every time Elowen asked why I was distracted or where I'd been, I spun another tale. Overtime at work. A buddy needing help moving furniture. Anything to deflect suspicion. But the cracks were starting to show. One night, Elowen found a receipt in my wallet from a coffee shop near Seraphina's house. "What's this?" she demanded, holding it up. "Just grabbing a drink after work," I lied smoothly, though my pulse quickened. Meanwhile, Seraphina confided that Callan was getting worse. He'd started interrogating her about her whereabouts, demanding passwords to her accounts. "This is spiraling out of control," she texted me late one night. And then the inevitable happened. My phone rang. An unknown number. "Kieran," a deep voice growled on the other end. "This is Callan. We need to talk." The explosion. Callan met me at a deserted parking lot outside town. His presence was imposing, tall, broad-shouldered, with an air of menace that made my stomach churn. "You think you can waltz into my life and ruin everything I've built?" he snarled, stepping closer. "I don't know what you're talking about." I shot back, though my voice trembled. "Oh, I think you do." He pulled out his phone, showing me screenshots of my texts with Seraphina. Intimate texts. Messages that left no room for denial. "You're pathetic," he spat. "Stay away from my wife or else." Panic surged through me as I realized the extent of the mess I'd created. But the real explosion came later that night. Elowen confronted me, holding my unlocked phone in her hands. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with betrayal. "How could you?" she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. Isolde stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed bunny, confused and scared. "Get out," Elowen said, her voice shaking but firm. I grabbed a duffel bag and left, the sound of Isolde calling my name echoing behind me. Falling apart. Moving into a tiny studio apartment felt like being locked in a cage. The walls were bare, the air stale, and every corner echoed with emptiness. I spent hours staring at photos of Isolde on my phone, replaying her cries for me to come home. Each video call was torture. Her little face lighting up when she saw me, only to fall again as she realized I wasn't there. Meanwhile, Seraphina was unraveling too. She'd finally decided to file for divorce from Callan, but he wasn't going down without a fight. He'd weaponized Finian, using their son as leverage to keep her tied to him. "He says if I leave, he'll take full custody," Seraphina told me during one of our late-night calls. Her voice cracked under the weight of despair. "I can't lose my baby, Kieran." Every word she said made me feel like a monster. If it weren't for me, none of this would have happened. Callan wouldn't be tearing apart his family. Seraphina wouldn't be risking everything just to escape him. And Elowen. God, Elowen wouldn't have had her heart shattered. One night, after another tearful conversation with Isolde over FaceTime, I broke down. Looking at her innocent face through the screen, I realized how much I'd already lost. I messed up everything, I whispered to myself, burying my head in my hands. And then it hit me, the truth I'd been avoiding all along. Both families were crumbling because of me. My selfishness had set off a chain reaction that left destruction in its wake. The breaking point. Callan didn't waste any time dragging me, and Seraphina, into hell. He hired a top-tier lawyer, turning what should have been a private matter into a public spectacle. Text messages, emails, even snippets of voicemails between Seraphina and me were submitted as evidence in court. It was humiliating. Seraphina tried to stay strong, but the pressure was eating her alive. She stopped answering my calls, retreating further into herself. When I finally managed to see her, she looked like a shadow of the woman I once knew. "I don't know how much more of this I can take," she confessed, tears streaming down her face. "Every day feels like drowning." Back at my place, I found myself staring at the ceiling, replaying her words over and over. How had things spiraled so far out of control? Then came the final blow. Elowen sent me the divorce papers. "Sign them," she texted coldly. "We're done." But Isolde begged otherwise. During a rare visit, she clung to me, sobbing. "Please don't leave us, Daddy. We can fix it. We can." Her plea tore me apart. For the first time, I truly understood the gravity of my choices. I couldn't keep running away. Not anymore. That night, sitting alone in my cramped apartment, I faced the hardest question yet. Who did I owe my loyalty to? Was it Seraphina, the woman who reignited a flame I thought died long ago? Or was it Elowen and Isolde, the family I swore to protect no matter what? Redemption or ruin? The next morning I drove straight to Elowen's house. My hands trembled as I knocked on the door. When she opened it, her eyes widened in surprise, but also wariness. "What are you doing here?" she asked stiffly. "I need to talk to you." "To both of you," I replied, glancing past her to where Isolde stood hesitantly in the living room. Inside I poured my heart out. I admitted everything, the affair, the lies, the selfish decisions that nearly destroyed us. I told them how sorry I was, how much I regretted hurting them. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," I said, my voice breaking. "But I want to make things right. I need to make things right for you, for Isolde, for us." Elowen listened silently, her expression unreadable. But Isolde ran to me, throwing her arms around my neck. "I missed you so much, Daddy," she cried. As we hugged, I glanced at Elowen. There was still pain in her eyes, but also a flicker of hope. Later that week, Seraphina called me. She sounded distant, resigned. "I've decided to move," she said softly. "Start fresh somewhere new. This town, it's too toxic for me now." Though part of me wanted to beg her to stay, I knew she deserved better. Better than me. Better than Sedona. "I'm glad you're leaving," I told her honestly. "You deserve happiness, Seraphina. Somewhere far away from all this mess." When I hung up, I felt lighter. Like I'd finally closed a chapter one never should have reopened. Moving forward, Elowen agreed to couples counseling, not because she trusted me yet, but because she believed in giving Isolde a chance at having both parents together. Those sessions weren't easy. They forced me to confront every mistake I'd ever made, every lie I'd spun. Callan, meanwhile, won partial custody of Finian. Seraphina moved away shortly after, leaving behind a trail of broken dreams. I often wondered how she was doing, whether she'd found peace in her new life. One evening, during a particularly intense therapy session, Elowen turned to me and said, "Do you know why I stayed silent for so long? Why I let you hurt me?" I shook my head. "Because I loved you," she admitted quietly, "even when you didn't deserve it." Her words crushed me. In that moment I realized just how lucky I was to still have her, even fragments of her, in my life. Over time we began to rebuild. Slowly, painfully, but surely. Isolde started smiling again. Elowen softened toward me bit by bit, and I learned to cherish the moments we shared, knowing they could have been lost forever. Still, some wounds never fully heal. Every time I passed by Oak Creek Canyon, memories flooded back. Memories of Seraphina. Of the choices that almost cost me everything. "There are scars that never fade," I told Elowen one night as we sat on the porch watching the sunset. "But maybe that's okay. Maybe they remind us of how far we've come." She nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. A new beginning. Months later, I received a letter from Seraphina. It arrived on a crisp autumn morning, the envelope bearing a Montana postmark. Inside, she wrote about her new life. A small cabin surrounded by pine trees, a job teaching art to kids, and quiet mornings spent painting. "You helped me find the courage to leave," she wrote. "For that, I'll always be grateful. But remember this, Kieran. Happiness isn't about chasing ghosts from the past. It's about building something real with the people who truly matter." Her words lingered in my mind long after I folded the letter and tucked it away. Life wasn't perfect anymore. Trust took time to rebuild. And there were days when Elowen's gaze still held traces of doubt. But we were trying. Together. Now, as I sit beside Isolde reading her favorite book, I feel a sense of calm I haven't felt in years. The kind of calm that comes from knowing you fought for what matters most. "We'll be okay, won't we, Daddy?" Isolde asks, looking up at me with wide, trusting eyes. "Yes, sweetheart," I reply, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "We will." Outside, the red rocks of Sedona glow in the fading sunlight, a reminder of beauty amidst chaos. Life is messy, painful, beautiful, and as I hold my daughter close, I vow to never take these moments for granted again.